Hi everyone, today we are going to show you the process of how to install Ubuntu 20 desktop on Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, to get started, you may need to download the Ubuntu 20 desktop ISO image. So to do that, you simply go to Google and type in Ubuntu 20.04 download, then follow the link. Okay, so here you can basically download the actual ISO image as follows. So right click, then click on Save File. Okay, now I have already downloaded the ISO image, so I have got it here. So I downloaded that about just over a week ago. It's actually Ubuntu 20.04 desktop ISO image. Right, so to get started, we launch Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, then we click on New to create a new virtual machine or VM. So I'm just going to put in the name of the VM here, which is Ubuntu 20 desktop. Okay, I'm going to select the machine folder or where it's going to be installed as default. The type is going to be Linux and the version is going to be Ubuntu 64-bit. Now I'm going to actually select the amount of RAM or memory I want to allocate to this virtual machine. So I am actually going to choose 4 gig, which equals 4096 megabytes. Okay, on the next screen we're going to create a virtual hard disk now, then click on create to continue. Okay, so on the next screen we can choose the file location for the virtual disk, so I'm going to leave that as default. And we can also choose the file size. So I'm actually going to choose the file size to be 40 gig as follows. Then on the hard disk file type we'll select VDI, which is the VirtualBox disk image, which is the default option. Then for storage on the physical hard disk, I'm actually going to choose dynamic allocation. If I was to create a virtual machine that I was going to keep and use it permanently, I would actually personally choose fixed size. That's my personal preference. Okay, now the advantage of using fixed size is, for example, if my host machine only has 25 gig space available and I create a virtual machine with a 40 gig virtual disk, choosing fixed size will not allow me to create a virtual disk that's bigger than the amount of space available on the host machine. Okay, so and for example, if I did have say 100 gig available on my host machine and I created a virtual disk say of 60 gig, that's fine. But if I get to the situation where I start running out of space on the host machine and I get down to say less than 10 gig available, the virtual machine won't know that, and you could potentially end up corrupting the virtual machine. Okay, but for the benefits of this video and to speed up the creation process of the virtual machine, I'm going to choose dynamic allocation. So what dynamic allocation actually means is the virtual disk, once it's created, will be very small and it will start increasing in size the more you use the virtual machine until it reaches a maximum file size of 40 gig, which is defined here. Okay, so at this point I'm going to click on create to continue. Okay, so the virtual machine has now been created. So what we are going to do is go to settings and just fine tune it further. So the next thing we need to do is to go to system. Okay, then go to the processor tab here on the right, then allocate more cores to the virtual machine. So I'm actually running on a laptop with 2 physical processors with 2 cores per physical processor. So I'm actually going to allocate 2 of those cores to this virtual machine. Then next we're going to go to display. Then we're going to put the video memory all the way up to 128 meg in size. Then click on OK to continue. Right, now what are we going to do is select the virtual machine, then click on Start. And we'll just wait for that to start up. Then we can choose the actual ISO image here. Okay, now if you don't get the choice to choose the ISO image here, don't worry. You simply go to the folder icon here on the right and follow the steps to choose the ISO image file. So, okay, so once we've done that, we click on Start. Then the installation process will now start. Okay, so we just saw the BIOS for the virtual machine, so we're just waiting for that to load up. And I will actually maximize this window as we continue. Okay, so on the top you're going to see a message in relation to mouse pointer integration. Okay, so what that means is some virtual machines, when you hover inside them, will grab the mouse and you need to hit the right control key to capture the mouse again so that you can use it on the host operating system. Okay, and some guest virtual machines actually allow you to seamlessly use the mouse between the virtual machine and the host operating system with no issues. This one allows you to use it with no issues because it does support mouse pointer integration. So I'm actually going to close that message, and we're just going to wait for the Ubuntu installer to start up. We're nearly there. Okay, so the installer has now started up. I'm going to leave the language as English because I'm actually English and based in the UK. We can actually choose to try Ubuntu, or we can install it. Okay, now if I was to try put this into a physical laptop or physical PC directly, the try option is actually more useful because you can actually try Ubuntu without physically installing it on your laptop or PC, and that's less destructive. And once you're happy, you can actually install it from the try option. But because this is a virtual machine and nothing's installed, I'm actually going to go for install Ubuntu and continue. Okay, so next we're going to select the keyboard layout. So I'm English, based in the UK, so I'm just going to choose English and English UK here. So then click on continue to carry on. Okay, so for updates and other software, I am actually going to choose normal installation. So that will install a web browser, utilities, office software, games and media players. For other options, it's actually useful to select download updates while installing Ubuntu. And also to save a lot of time and hassle afterwards, you can choose to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and other media formats. Then I'm going to click on continue to carry on. Okay, so while we're waiting for this, I'd just like to mention I actually have installed Ubuntu 20 directly onto another laptop I have, and I've been using it as a daily driver for about a week, and I found it to be extremely useful. If I can, I may record a video showing you how I'll get on with using Ubuntu, which has been installed directly on my other laptop. Okay, so on the next screen we can choose the installation type. So because there's no detected operating systems, we're actually only being presented with two options. I'm going to leave it as default, then click on install now to continue. Okay, so this is a message to say, do we want to write the changes to disk? And I'm going to click on continue. Okay, so here we just choose where we're located. I'm based in London, which is all good. Click on continue. Okay, we're just going to set up our name. My name's Amit. I'm actually going to call this Ubuntu 20 Virtual. I have another Ubuntu 20 physical on my network, which is on the other laptop. Username is Amit, and I'm going to put in a strong password. And this installer is quite good. It tells you if you haven't put in a strong password. Okay. I do not want to log in automatically. Personally, for security reasons, I always like to log in manually. Okay, so once that's done, click on continue and we'll carry on. Okay, so Ubuntu is now installing. So the next part of the video, while this is going on, will be speeded up. And I'll get back to you once this process has completed. Okay, so the install process has now finished. And what we need to do is restart our virtual machine. So I'm going to click restart now to continue. Okay, so here it's asking us to remove the installation medium, then press enter. I'm simply going to press enter, because for the Ubuntu installer, VirtualBox will actually automatically remove it. And we're just waiting for it to start up again. Okay, so we're now presented with the login screen. So we're going to log into this for the first time. So I'm going to put in my password, log in as Amit. Okay, so we're now logged in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is there's a few things we need to do at this point. One is to, as you probably noticed, the size of the screen is very small. So, okay, so we'll get that resolved. So the next thing to do is for online accounts, I'm actually going to skip that, but you may want to set it up yourself, depending on what you need to do. Live patch, I'm just going to leave it as default and click on next. Okay, so help improve Ubuntu. Do we want to send information to the people that make Ubuntu? In this case, I'm going to select no, then click on next to continue. Okay, next to that one. Now we're nearly ready to go. Right, so, okay, the next thing we need to do is install something called guest editions. So we basically go to the VirtualBox menu, go to devices, and click on insert guest editions CD image. Okay, right, yeah, so we actually being presented with an update as well, which is in the window below that. So let me scroll that down. Okay, what we would do is we'll ignore the updates for the time being, because I find it more efficient to install the virtual guest editions than do the updates. Because what the virtual guest editions will do is it will actually install drivers, and the VM will be a lot more efficient to run. Okay, I'm going to put in the password. I just put in the wrong password, so I'm going to re-enter. Apologies about that. Then click on authenticate. Okay, I just noticed my phone went off in the background, so I'm going to set it on silent. It's quite annoying. That's really bad of me. I usually do set my phone on silent when I'm recording videos. So note to self in future, set the phone on silent when recording a video. Okay. Right, so I think I might have clicked on guest editions twice. So it's running in the background, but I've also got this. So I'm going to cancel that one. Okay, so that's saying guest editions has run. Now we've got software updates, so I'm going to close that for the time being, and I'm going to actually reboot Ubuntu. So I'm going to reboot that now. So go to the top right, go to power off, log out, power off there, then restart. And we'll just wait for the virtual machine to start up again. Again, mouse pointer integration. It's very kindly reminding us that we can drag and drop the mouse freely between the host OS and the virtual machine. So I'm going to close that. And we just wait for the virtual machine to start up again. Okie dokie, right. So let's make this full screen. If it lets me. Excellent. So we're now in full screen, which is, installing the guest editions has allowed us to do that. So I'm just going to log in again with the right password this time, hopefully. Maybe not. Let's try that again. Fat fingers. And we'll try again. Okay, on a virtual machine, this process can take a bit of time. On my physical laptop, where I've installed Ubuntu directly onto it, that process is extremely rapid. Right, so we're now into Ubuntu. So the next thing we want to do is do the updates. So this is the default Ubuntu layout. So it's using the GNOME desktop interface with the default background. Okay, right, so on this default layout, you go to the bottom left, go to Show Applications, then in the top you type in Update as follows, then you run the software updater, and it's now checking for updates. Okay, so it's found some updates, and the updates have already been downloaded, which is very useful. I'm actually going to check on the details of the updates as follows. Okay, not a lot really to install, so we're going to click on Install now to continue. And while it's doing that, you can actually open it up using details, and it will actually tell you what it's doing if you're interested. This process usually takes a few minutes. Okay, so the updates have been installed. My preference is to do a restart after installing updates, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So again, power off, restart, and we'll just wait for the virtual machine to restart. Okay, again, I'll close those messages and we'll just wait for Ubuntu to restart. Okay, so we're now in Ubuntu again. It's been installed, the guest editions have been set up, and the updates have been applied. Okay, so thank you very much if you've got to the end of this video. If you like this video, please click on the like icon. Should you wish to see further videos from myself, then please subscribe. And also, if you want to be alerted when I update further videos to my channel, then do not forget to hit the notification bell. Thank you very much for your time, and have a nice day or evening or weekend. Thank you.